One analogy that I really like around the world of agentic AI is the master carpenter or master craftsman. When you go to a master carpenter and ask them for a project or for a piece of furniture, you are not telling them what to do step by step. You are giving them a context of the project that you are trying to do, what type of piece of furniture you want them to build. And what they do is they identify, they understand the context, they understand the type of wood that might be the most suitable for that activity. They identify which are the tools that are available to them to execute the project, and then they go on and put the project in place. And throughout the execution of the project, if they encounter any challenges, any delays, any activities, they keep working around those challenges to end up getting to the final goal. That analogy is exactly how it's very close to how an agentic AI is working. You provide the agentic AI with a goal. What are you trying to achieve? You make tools and context available to them, and then an LLM is building a plan, an execution plan, reasons through it, identifies which are the steps that need to be executed. There are multiple models behind that, and then executes throughout those steps, checking regularly if we are getting closer or not to the goal that has been set at the beginning, and executing until they reach the goal that you have defined. And that helps address one of the challenges we had with more prescriptive AI or generative AI, which is the level of autonomy that we want to create with this type of models. That said, the fact that we are talking about an agentic AI as an autonomous solution doesn't mean that in the enterprise we are going to have fully autonomous agents anytime soon. The expectation is that over the next months and in the short and medium term, most of the agents will work in a semi-autonomous or a supervised environment. What that means is that either by design, because you say whenever this decision needs to be made, please send a request to human agent X to get the activity done, or through escalation, because as part of the process it deviates so much from the goal or from the context that you say someone has to take over and make the right judgment call. There will be always a supervisor or a validator that will ensure that the goals are being achieved. And obviously on top of that, through governance and control, we'll have to put the measurements and controls in place to ensure that what we are working on and generating through this type of solutions is really aligned to what we are looking for, that the completeness is correct, that the adequacy to the prompting is correct, that even the tool selection is the most effective possible, etc., etc. When looking at the deployment of generative AI and AI agents in general, there are 5 core pillars in the digital strategy that I think are critical. There is on one side the building a set of technology that is as flexible as possible, as open as possible, and that actually drives a level of democratization. We are talking about a transformation, some call it a revolution in the way we are operating in businesses, and building solutions that can actually enable people that are working on operations, that are working on their day-to-day, to design and put in place the right solutions that help them transform their own business is not a requirement, but almost a mandate from a societal impact perspective. Second pillar of the digital strategy the digital strategies to put in place agents is the focus on the business value. As anything that is hyped or anything that is popular, there will be a lot of opportunity, a lot of ideas for things that we can execute or we can do with this type of technologies. One important element to take into account is what is the business value that we can get out of this, and how feasible putting in place those solutions is with the current state of the technology. And there might be things that are very relevant from a business standpoint that due to the complexity, it might make sense to park for a few months, keep as part of the elements that we want to reassess in the future. And as things evolve so quickly, we might be able to get back to them and do effectively, instead of now spending the next 6 to 12 months trying to figure out how to do something with a solution that is not ready for the challenge we are trying to resolve. So it's business value, and prioritization based on the capabilities that we have. There is a third pillar, which is testing, measuring, and analyzing. The context is evolving very fast. What is working today might not be working as effectively tomorrow, the same way as the other way around. What might not be working effectively tomorrow might be perfectly fine in a few weeks. And we need to keep testing, assessing, validating, and learning from what we are doing as both the deployments, the individual deployments, and also as part of the broader strategy of what do we focus on today. There is a fourth pillar around radical collaboration. At the end, any large organization by nature ends up being siloed. You end up having either because of geography, because of the business departments, because of the day-to-day operation, you end up having groups of people that don't necessarily talk to each other. And what we need to force, and what as part of Konecta we are trying to, or we're working to force in our deployments, is creating these multi-skilled, multidisciplinary teams. Bringing to the same table someone that has a legal background, someone that has been 20 years in the operations, someone that has a very deep understanding of what the technology allows us to do, and asking them and building together with them the solutions that we're putting in the operations is critical to make them as effective and as valuable as possible. And finally, there is a point around the talent and the continuous learning. Both because things are changing rapidly, and also because there is a lot of people that are not yet on board with using generative AI. This whole revolution can feel daunting to a lot of people. As an organization and as humans, it's almost our mandate to ensure that all the people that are part of our organization feel empowered and feel accompanied, or they feel that they are working and traveling with an organization that is helping them get ready for what is coming, helping them understand what tools are at their fingertips that they can use, putting in their hands capabilities to start testing it, to start developing their own use cases, start identifying how that helps them in their day-to-day, and also start changing and driving the learning processes to allow them to understand how their roles will shape or will shift as we keep evolving in the next few months. So it is an imperative for us, and it is a very important aspect of our transformation to focus on that change management, or the learning and development behind all the activities that we are doing, not only to drive adoption, but also to facilitate that all our employees and all the people that are part of our societal context have the right tools and mechanisms to be able to address the challenges with success. From a challenge standpoint, there are a few things that we are looking at whenever we are deploying whenever we are thinking about generative AI and agents. One, as mentioned several times, is the human aspect. How do we ensure that we are doing all the change management, we are preparing for the adoption and the transformation of that comes with this new set of technologies and abilities that we are putting in the environment. A second one is data and technology. The quality of the data, as anything AI, is critical, but even more now. So you're asking more and more autonomous solutions to use their context, their data, to make decisions. If you have information that is not accurate, if you have information that is not valuable, you are not going to be able to rely on this type of solutions to be able to execute. And the same happens with technology. We are not in an isolated world. Everything in paper sounds fantastic. You go and say, oh, I'm going to put in place a solution that is going to use tools that are available. Reality is that we are working with clients that might be working in legacy systems, or that they say, my environment, I have it closed because of X, Y, Z. And we have to navigate that challenge as part of being able to achieve the type of results we want to achieve with that. Obviously, another challenge is the strategic value of the solution, financial, societal impact that we can achieve with the activities. Another one around ethics, making sure that whatever we are putting in place has the right level of reviews and supervisions, that we have the right level of controls, we build the right frameworks to facilitate and ensure that we are not introducing biases, that we are not starting to deviate towards results that should not be, and that we have the traceability and explainability to understand when our results are not aligned and either escalate or address the way we are building things. And finally, there is an important challenge around costs, both the more obvious, which are the costs of development, the financial and people cost of developing, but also the environmental costs, the importance or not of deploying this type of technologies, depending on the context that we are working. There is one important concept that we are working as Konecta. We are starting to see, which is the presence and the concept of hybrid agents. And I would take it in two big topics. First of all, how do we go from the non-AI environments to a plus AI environment? How do I augment the capabilities that I have using AI on the side? And that is obviously using our traditional analytics and adding generative AI to facilitate and to make sure that we are having better results, but also the usage of co-pilots. As I like to call them, it's kind of the tireless companion of a super agent, because they are there, they are consistent, they are always working with the agent, and at the same time they give them and augment the capabilities that they have. If we think of a copilot and that vision of this as a hybrid agent, hybrid human and an AI agent, at the end you can help the agent with contextual information about the call, collecting all the information of what has happened before the call to be able to give the right initial response to the customer. Or we can think about, how do I support the process whilst an engagement with a client is happening? What is how do I make that context and knowledge as easy to access as possible? How do I proactively, depending on what we are talking about, show to the agent information that can be of relevance to resolve the challenge that the client is facing? And finally, one of the areas that is daunting to a lot of agents, which is the after call work, is how do I reduce as much as possible the effort and improve the quality of that work that happens afterwards. Instead of getting to points where, because of time and pressure, your after call summaries are a couple of words just to say that you wrote something, you turn it into a real summary of what has happened that then contextually in the next call, the same AI can digest and extract and have a better knowledge of what has happened. Same for classification of the calls or adding the type of call that came in. If you facilitate that exercise, also the quality of the results that you can get there is much better. And that moving towards the agent world is where you start building that multi-agent hybrid or multi-hybrid agent environment. Think about specialization first. Think about agents, an AI agent that is very good at finding knowledge, an AI agent that is very good at copywriting, but also a human agent that is very good at handling negotiations, or a human agent that is really good at addressing emotional situations, which can actually lead to hiring different types of people to support this type of specialized roles, and building the orchestration to facilitate the exchange of within the process between each one of those specialized agents. And that orchestration obviously requires that we look at processes differently. We need to break down the processes, understand each one of the actors, understand each one of the elements, but it gives us more resiliency, because at the end we split the process so we can focus on fixing the right things. It gives us more speed, and it also gives us more or an increase in the experience that the customer has, because we can really focusing on addressing the challenges that we have and being very efficient in the rest of the process.